This is the Aftermarket Radio Network. Vision 2023, Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio, sponsored by Napa Auto Care this year. Great relationship with the people from Napa. A lot going on with us and them and training and, oh my God, a lot of stuff. So I'm here with two of my favorite people. Should we do ladies first? Three of my favorite people. Oh my God, forgot Tracy Capriato is joining us today. Say hi.
Hi, I'm going to be manning the audio and then also chiming in and being the peanut gallery.
Okay, great. Good to have you here. We actually finally figured out when I have two guests in the studio how we can get her mic'd up. So we overcame a technology challenge to have Tracy here on the show with us. Bill Haas is here, Haas Performance Consulting.
Hello.
And his daughter, Sara Fraser, VP of Business Development and Client Services from Haas.
Hello.
How you doing?
I am doing great.
You guys are doing, it's tomorrow, right? Tomorrow morning, this seminar. Wow. Strategies for dealing with difficult customers. I mean, to me, that's a mouthful. I mean, we sometimes let them totally control our lives.
We do allow them to really not control our lives, but certainly influence what's going to happen for the rest of the day or maybe the week. It can be pretty hard.
Hey, thanks to our sponsor, Napa, for providing you this episode. How does Napa support your auto care center through national marketing? Well, Napa will build upon the already successful Know-How for All campaign and promote auto care offering and services to the do-it-for-me customer with support through sales driver promotions, optimized targeted media that give your repair facility an online presence on Napa Online. Now, if you're interested in partnering with Napa Auto Care and capitalizing on the Napa Know-How for All national marketing campaign, contact your servicing Napa Auto Parts store. Enjoy. Is a difficult customer about price, belligerence, not accepting the results of the diagnosis? Is it come in all kinds of flavors and forms?
All kinds. And the interesting thing is they're a really small percentage of our customers, right? When we think about all of our customers, the difficult ones are not the largest percentage of who we deal with, but they take up a lot of our time and they affect how we feel and they can affect how the rest of our day goes. So, and yeah, it can come from all different, there are things that we can do that maybe affected them to become a difficult customer that we didn't realize, or maybe it's something that has absolutely nothing to do with the experience. It's something that happened before they even came to us.
You know, and the thing is, like Sarah's mentioning about them being such a small percentage, right? But that's who we remember. When I talk to a shop owner, I go, how's your day going? They're going, well, if it wasn't for so-and-so, and let me tell you what happened. And then there's this big story behind that difficulty that they had with somebody that was unhappy or upset, you know, whatever. And I'm like, wow, but you didn't tell me about the 15 or 20 customers you served today that were great experiences. Those you've already forgotten, but you can't let go of that one difficult customer. Those we remember.
It grinds on you.
We tend to take it personally. It's a lot harder to move on.
So are we down on ourselves because this happened? Are we blaming ourselves for the belligerence and ugliness?
Not always. I think sometimes we get really defensive also. I think it goes both ways. Sometimes you can take it personal and think I really messed up, or I didn't take full advantage of that opportunity, or I didn't do what I should have done. But then, you know, you have like, what is it? Flight, freeze, fawn. Sometimes we go into the defense mode where you start telling the customer why they're wrong, which is not what you want to be doing. And so we've heard calls where it goes various different directions. And that's why we'd like to think doing this class is great, to be able to provide strategies to not end up in putting ourselves in difficult situations.
Can you change the moment of belligerism, did I say that right? And turn that around into your goal is, listen, I'm not going to let this person really screw up my day and build a bad attitude. So I am going to try to turn them into some normal person.
Watch for the warning signs, right? So a lot of these people that are going to be problematic for you, there's some warning signs. Listening to this conversation where somebody calls the store and they say, yeah, I hope you can fix my car. Every time I get my car in the shop, I'm getting ripped off. That's a warning sign. So then you have to take that to, do I just take the order and be the next shop in line that they feel like they're getting ripped off by? Or do you say, so tell me a little bit more about that. What's your experience been? Where's the last shop you went to? And what kind of problem did you have? And pretty soon you start to listen, and pretty soon they get the opportunity opportunity to tell their story, and you get to figure out if this is somebody you really want to grace your doorstep or not.
What I'm hearing you say is start asking questions.
Start having conversations. Start having conversations. When somebody says, I've been 3 shops and nobody's been able to fix my car, you better have a conversation. Why have these 3 shops not been able to meet their expectations? What makes you think that you're going to be the hero?
Why do you think I can help you?
Why do you think I can help you?
Why do you think to me, that's a loaded question. Well, my friend down the road says that you're my last call.
Yeah.
Maybe it's true.
And maybe it is true, right? Maybe that experience has been, well, I heard you're really good, but you're really expensive. Well, that really says the last 3 shops you went to were not high quality stores.
Did you ever see a $15 haircut?
Right. I go to the barber that fixes $15 haircuts.
Exactly right.
Well, that's coming from a bald guy, but
that's coming from John DeJulius and his teachings. And there was a sign in his salon that says, "We fix $15 haircuts."
Yeah,
exactly right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Perfect.
I think too, like you said, getting to ask the story and all of that is us being able to determine if this is a difficult customer or an upset customer, because there is a difference.
So that difficult customer is somebody that kind of, from the onset, we know that they're situationally going to be hard to deal with, probably, right? That's difficult. Upset is they probably came in just fine, but we haven't met their expectations. So now they're upset as the result of something we've done or something we failed to do. In a lot of cases, they probably have good reason to be upset with us because we didn't do well.
Do you ever stand in line or be in a place where there's a difficult customer with a customer service rep and you felt bad for the customer service rep because they were getting beat to death and you weren't quite sure if you should leave and come back and how, you were there, just do your normal business. The kind of relationship you have and the trust you have with this company you're dealing with. And there's this person like, boom, pounding on them. And it's almost cathartic to be an observer of something that bad. As a customer, I'm going to be next. What mood is this person going to be in? Are they going to remember, hey, this is Carm?
I think having that good customer next is almost an amazing thing, because then as a customer, it's like revalidating, okay, I know what I'm doing. This customer trusts me. And although the one before was maybe awful to me or made me feel incompetent or like I don't know what I'm doing, I really do. And I think sometimes that's when we find things that we think customers are being difficult, it's because they make us feel like we don't know what we're doing or like we don't know our job. And being able to have employees who are empowered and can own that confidence and keep control of the situation, and then having that great customer come in after and be like, wow, I'm so sorry you went through that, or, you're doing really good at what you're doing, or getting that validation.
To me, that's the biggest opportunity for us in our stores, is to empower our people to be able to take care of the customer that needs assistance. They have to have the ability, because they know the right thing to do. They're just afraid to do it, right? Because they're like, oh, and then what's the answer? Well, the boss isn't here right now. I'll put a note on the boss's desk and they'll call you and they'll take care of this. Well, you really didn't help the customer. You didn't help the guest at all. They are still upset. They're still frustrated. They're still unhappy with what this experience has been. And when the boss comes back, what's he got? A bunch of Post-it notes on his desk, like, you got to call so-and-so. You need to call so-and-so. Well, if I've empowered my people, they've taken care of it already. I always like to look at it like this. If you watch these people and what that experience has been like, how would you feel if that was your grandmother that was being treated that way or taken care of that way? Do the right thing. Do what you'd expect to be done if this was your grandma.
Guys, can you listen to calls and get that difficult customer in a phone call, and then as a service advisor and a supervisor sit down and kind of learn that phone call or in person, we have to practice and be better and ask those kinds of questions. You could have the same difficult customer over the phone. And if we're recording calls and we have an opportunity, then in person, that kind of goes away. All right. I had a really bad day. I had a bad customer. What happened? And as a supervisor or owner, very difficult to coach that. But if it happens on the phone, I bet you can coach that.
We can coach that. So when we catch that on the phone, and when somebody's really being difficult in terms of, well, you fix cars, don't you? Yes, we do fix cars. Well, then you should be able to tell me what's wrong. Well, but we'd really like to see the car to understand what's really going on. And they just become difficult, right? Like they're demanding, they're insistent that you should be able to tell me right now what's wrong with my car. And it's like my coaching method for getting out of that is to just simply say, it doesn't sound like you're ready to have the car looked at yet. My name's Bill. Call me back when you're ready, and I'll be happy to take care of that for you. Because otherwise, you get into this battle of words of, you won't look at my car. I think you should look at my car. You should know what's wrong with my car. It's like you get on the merry-go-round you can never get off of.
Bill, I love this. You are not ready. And how far into the belligerency or the difficulty, are there some steps to say, listen, I see the warning sign before you use the "you are not ready" slogan here?
So for me, I sort of have a rule that I use with this, and it's like I will make 2 invitations for them to bring me the car. I'm trying to make that appointment. I'm trying to get that commitment that you're going to drop off a car, that we'll be able to spend time with the car and understand what the car needs and what that's going to look like. This, unfortunately, is not a black and white kind of thing, because there's somebody that we might consider as a difficult customer based on the conversation. But as we spend a little bit more time with them, we understand that their difficulties have been caused by somebody else. Their level of frustration isn't all their fault. Maybe this is somebody that if they just were being helped by the right people in the right situation, the difficulty will go away.
And sometimes it's those quote unquote difficult customers that we can turn into our most trustworthy, lifetime loyal customers. So there's always that possibility.
It's Carm here, talking to you about what the Napa Auto Care Center program can do for your business. You probably already know the Napa brand is the most recognized and trusted name in the automotive aftermarket industry. In fact, studies show that nearly 95% of consumers recognize Napa and associate it with quality parts, service, and technical expertise. So why not complete a Pro Image upgrade and take advantage of that? Pro Image is a co-branding program for the exterior and interior of your shop. On the outside, it includes the Napa colors and distinctive Napa signage. While the public may know you as a reliable, locally owned business, a Pro Image upgrade helps set your shop apart from the competition even further. It's also a visual signal to customers and potential customers that you and Napa are partners. Most importantly, Pro Image really works. This co-branding opportunity has helped Napa Auto Care Centers across the country increase their car counts and sales. In fact, those that have completed a Pro Image project enjoy an average 23% sales increase during the first year. Pro Image upgrades are also available for the interior of your shop. A Pro Image interior upgrade transforms your customer waiting area from merely utilitarian to warm and welcoming. The goal is to maintain your shop's independent identity while enhancing the customer's experience. You can get a free look at what a Pro Image exterior or interior upgrade could look like by visiting the Napa Auto Care members site and clicking on the Pro Image link under the Napa Pro Image tab. Or contact your local Napa Auto Parts store. Your servicing Napa store can tell you more about Pro Image, plus the hundreds of other reasons to become part of the Napa Auto Care family, the largest network of independent automotive repair shops in the country. Go back to the 2 invites. You make one.
I make one.
Then they're
still insistent, right?
They're off the charts. Right. So they're not on number 10.
I won't let them get to number 10, because after the second invitation of explaining the importance of us spending time with the vehicle to really understand what needs to be done and why, and it's not happening, then that's my go-to.
In my mind, they're frustrated, but they want to be in control of the situation.
Control's a big part of this, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Because to this point, they've felt like, for whatever reason, they haven't been in control.
And sometimes they don't even know what to ask. And I think that's where some of the frustration comes out too.
But they want to be in control, so they're going to be difficult with you. And they obviously don't know a thing about what their problem is. They Googled it.
Right. They might have Googled it. But think about this. What about the previous situation where they had a car to shop? The car was there for 3 or 4 days. They haven't heard from anybody in 3 or 4 days. Yeah, they don't feel like they're in control. They're like, I have no idea what's going on here. Nobody's communicated with me. I haven't heard a word about what's going on. I mean,
I love it.
Now, all of a sudden, if you think about it, you're trying to do damage control, and you didn't even create that anxiety that they have.
No, the answer is don't make a difficult customer out of a customer.
Well, and just let them know that you're there to advocate for them. We want to help them, and show them the roadmap of how we're going to do that, and to be able to let them know like we are on your side, and we're trying to all come to a solution together.
Yeah. Tell them about why the experience at your store is going to be different than the experience that they've had previously.
So I take this person in, I ask enough questions, they calm down, a chance to look at the car. What's the stats or the experiences that you have that will make this interaction a more positive one? Is it sometimes damned if I didn't, damned if I didn't? I mean, does that happen a lot?
Yeah, I think it happens a fair amount, definitely. But how do you know if you don't get there? And you got to work harder at it. I mean, I think that's part of the challenge for us in terms of being service consultants, service advisors, is you got to be at the top of your game. I mean, and here's the thing. You've got to be able to think on your feet and respond well and respond quickly. And that's what's going to get people comfortable in saying, I think I finally found the guy or the gal that's going to be able to, it'll be different this time.
They need to know you care.
What do you know about comebacks, returns, the kind of follow-up by trying to mold a difficult customer into a customer, the tendency that we felt in the beginning, even though they let us in on this thing? Is there residual stuff that could eventually happen?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
this doesn't work. This isn't right. My car's dirty. There's a scratch here and all that stuff. Right.
And it's like, you better own that right now. Don't get into I don't think we did that. No, you own it. Right? It's like in their mind, it's ever since. And so ever since, whatever ever since is, own it, make it right. Right? It becomes a priority. I always look at it in terms of, for shops that we work with, is like, if somebody's coming back with something that they don't feel was done correctly, that becomes priority one. Somebody will stop doing whatever they're doing to make that priority one. Because at the end of the day, that customer that feels like, hey, you didn't fix my car right, or you got handprints on the steering wheel, whatever that is, what they're going to remember is how you responded to that. They won't remember what got fixed. They won't remember what they spent, but they will remember when I had a problem, they were on it immediately. Don't put it back in line. That has to become priority one. And I just had a shop in probably the last 2 weeks. It was really interesting because the shop owner was doing follow-up calls to people that had their car in for service. And this was actually a customer that he called and said, hey, this is, so-and-so. I own a repair shop. Your car was in for service 2 days ago. I just wanted to make sure that you're completely satisfied with everything that happened. And this vehicle owner says, well, I'm really not happy. Since you asked, I think this is something too. Sometimes you have to remember that you have to ask, right? This is somebody that spent money with this store. They didn't leave a review. They didn't go and give us 2 stars on Google or anything like that. But we got the opportunity, because we asked, to resolve the issue for this guest. And that solidified the relationship.
And they're unhappy.
They
may not be totally difficult and totally dissatisfied, but they're not happy. Some portion of the experience went wrong.
But they're probably not coming back.
If we didn't try to make the connection.
Now, because we made the connection and now we had the opportunity to do something positive to make it right.
Let's bring in Tracy on this one. How many times have we had a bad experience and we've just said to ourselves, privately, personally, to our spouse, we ain't going back?
I feel like Sarah and I were talking about this earlier.
We were,
the customer service level is so low with everything, whether you're calling a bank, a credit card company, making reservations, going to a restaurant, even just daily interactions, Uber drivers. I feel like when I have a really good customer experience, I am so shocked. I treasure that. I used to work in a retail store, so I can relate a lot to dealing with difficult customers and the challenges that arise with that. And like Bill had said, people remember the bad experiences, and you can't focus on that, because when you do have that great experience of a customer that turns around and is just your raving fan now, that's what you have to remember at the end of the day. Otherwise, you will go crazy thinking about the one bad customer that you had. For me, also as a consumer, whether you're on a phone call or in person, having someone that genuinely cares and really looks you in the eye or is speaking to you on the phone and is polite and, has inflections in their voice, they don't sound like a robot that's monotone, just reading off of a paper, that makes a huge difference too. Because we've all had experiences where we've called upset, something happened, and I feel like just having someone really be honest with you and even say, hey, I really understand why you're upset, X, Y, and Z. I think that can really turn over a customer, knowing that someone cares. Someone's actually listening to me. They're repeating what I'm upset about. So it's not just off in the fog and we can't do anything to help you. So it's that connection piece. You have to connect even when someone is upset, because that upset customer can turn around in a second.
Tracy, I love what you said about repeating what they say, because that's, we definitely talk about active listening, making sure we're listening to what they're saying. And sometimes what we hear and what someone says are two completely different things. So being able to repeat that and make sure we're understanding, actively listening as if we're going to be tested on what they're saying later, and making sure that we have that information correct. I mean, that's with any customer, being proactive in not becoming a difficult customer and making sure that we're getting the facts correct from the get-go and repeating and verifying that this is what they're saying.
So you really have to be careful in that, because something that I tend to hear people saying is they'll say, so I think what you're saying is, and boy, you want to set somebody off. Just tell them that you think you know what they're saying.
What I heard is you're upset on the smudge that was on your steering wheel.
Exactly.
And boy, I would be too.
Spot on.
We have to fix this for you.
Yeah.
And making sure that we're not putting words that they didn't say, as if you have a customer who, well, I'm really surprised at the level of poor experience I received. And you say, I understand that you're frustrated. Well, they didn't tell you that they were frustrated. You just now gave them permission to be frustrated instead of being, well, that certainly is surprising, right? Yeah. So now we're giving them even more fuel to the fire, which you don't want to keep poking the bear.
No, Tracy, you said something too about caring, right? And for a lot of us, because we have very technical backgrounds, we know a lot of things about car repair and the car repair business. Nobody cares how much we know until they know how much we care. And that's how you have to turn that around. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how many carburetors you rebuild a year. I don't care. I want to know how much you care, because right now I need your help. And if you care, you'll help me. And that's how we have to express it. And that's how we have to have the empathy for, if I was on the other side of this counter, I'd feel the same way if somebody had done that to me. And that's empathy. But now empower your people so that they have the ability to do whatever they have to do to correct that. Don't go, well, let me check with the boss and see what I can do. Wait, you need permission to do the right thing? No. I always go back to, if you ever read the book Customers for Life by the car dealer. I'm trying to think of his name right now. Carl Sewell out of Dallas. I've read that book probably 10 times. But one of the most impressionable things for me the very first time I read the book was at Carl Sewell Cadillac, every employee was empowered to do whatever they had to do, down to the porter. If somebody found the porter and said, my tire's been flat ever since they serviced my car. Right. If that meant the tire was shot, he or she was empowered to put a new tire on the car to satisfy that customer. And that just has stuck with me my entire life. Was, wow, how empowering.
We hear this about the Ritz-Carlton too.
Sure.
That everybody has a budget to satisfy a customer. And then there's the great old Neiman Marcus story that everybody's empowered to make their customers happy. So customer brings in 4 tires, drops them off, or something they would have never purchased in the store. And they gave them a refund, even though they never bought it there, because the customer walked in with the expectations that I've always been taken care of here, so I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
Spouse bought the product, brought it back. It wasn't there. She assumed it was. Those are legacy stories.
Absolutely.
And so maybe part of what's going on here in a difficult customer situation, it may not be a new customer bill, but it could be a follow-up on something that didn't go right.
Absolutely.
And that ultimately, it's our job at that moment to not make this customer into a difficult customer. And another thing about you said there was no review, but they were unhappy. You said that. There was no review, but they were unhappy. And just because we don't get a review doesn't mean that they were happy. So if we're constantly looking at our reviews and hoping that person, they didn't give us a review, I wonder what happened. Almost that each and every one of those visits with 0 review should be called or texted or emailed or something.
Yeah, and don't wait until it's, we haven't seen them in a while. We should call and see. No, because
what
now...
could have happened? It's like a really bad bottle of wine. It just keeps going worse, bad and bad and bad, right?
Right. And
it turns into vinegar.
If you wait till we should have seen them by now and you haven't, they've probably already found somebody else. So getting proactive and being in front of that.
Well, I love this topic. I know you're teaching it tomorrow. You probably got a full class, right?
Yeah, my understanding is we're in a ballroom because there's so many people in this class.
No.
Yeah, this should be
then that's a testament to what's going on out in our world. And, one of the thoughts that I had is customer service dead. And I'm not saying that it is, because there's a lot of great places where you can get exceptional and outstanding customer service. But the pandemic, the working from home, that you call a customer service company right now, and you don't know if you're getting somebody at home over a VIOP phone with a computer terminal in front of you. It's not like it's a customer service environment in a building where we're all being monitored and watched and we're trying to be better than the next. Maybe the customer service people are just, sitting there drinking coffee, waiting for the phone to ring, and you're bothering me.
It's in the last month, I've had 3 similar experiences at 3 very different businesses. And that experience has been going in, and I'm going to start with the simplest one. I was dropping my shirts off at the cleaners to have my shirts cleaned. And they had a sign at the counter, and the sign simply said, "We are short-staffed. Please be patient with the people that have come to work today to help you." You wouldn't think we'd have to tell people to modify their behavior to get good customer service.
A restaurant that we go to, small country town, I live way out in the country, great food. And the waiters and the waitresses were all wearing shirts that says, on the back, "We are short-staffed. Thank you for your patience." That was their billboard. And I think we felt really bad about the struggle that the small businessman is going through. It's almost assumed. I mean, if you're paying attention to what's going on in your world, these people got to be short-staffed than to broadcast it like that. But so you went to the cleaners. Did you ever take a sport coat and lose any buttons on your sleeves?
No, I haven't lost buttons on my sleeve.
I was just curious because one day I lost a button on my sport coat sleeve, and I went in and I says, "Guys, can you find the button? Maybe it's in the washing machine." So I don't know how this thing works. And they says, "You don't need those buttons." I said, "What do you mean I don't need those buttons? Don't they actually serve a purpose?" And they go, "No, they don't serve a purpose. Do you know anything about those buttons?"
I know a little bit about those buttons. And it is true, the buttons serve no purpose whatsoever. And boy, you're going to force me to do this.
This is all on purpose, folks.
So the buttons are on the sleeve of a gentleman's sport coat because it goes back to the days of Napoleon's army. And Napoleon found that the soldiers would wipe their noses on the sleeve of this coat. So Napoleon had buttons put on the sleeves so the soldiers would stop using the sleeves to wipe their noses.
The more you know.
And so my sport coat's here on the chair, and I lifted it up, and of course, there's the 4 buttons.
There's 4 buttons.
Why is it on the back, though? Because if someone's wiping their nose, wouldn't it be on the front of their sleeve to
Yeah.
Or around the whole cuff, maybe?
Well, maybe it changed. Maybe they were somewhere else for Napoleon and somebody moved them. Some smart tailor said, "Well, this looks kind of cool, but they're in the wrong place." I don't know.
We may have to Google
There's probably some evolution of the buttons on the sleeve.
We need an industry fashion podcast now.
Oh, my. Don't tell her.
I know.
Don't tell her.
Or him. He's colorblind.
I'd be really happy if there was just a kids table podcast.
We're going to do that.
I've heard about this.
Yeah, I know you've heard about it. You heard about it a long time ago. But Tracy committed to me that she's going to lead the Kids Table podcast as an element here of Remarkable Results Radio, where we're going to just get the millennials engaged in some really good dialogue. So it's the moniker of the Kids Table. So
it's on record, so I guess I will have to.
Back to the dealing with the difficult customers.
Hey, great to see you, by the way. Good luck on the course tomorrow, since you're in the ballroom and there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of people listening in.
So I've got to give the listeners a key phrase yet, though.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So when these things happen, the phrase is this: if you give me a moment, I know I can help you. You just owned it. They're not wondering, what are you going to do? Who's going to do it? You just owned it. If you'll give me a moment, I know I can help you. People are comfortable now with, I found somebody who's going to help me.
There's a transfer of power.
Yes, there's a transfer of power. Just give me a moment. I know I can help. It's all they were looking for in the first place was help. Somebody that understood, somebody that was willing to try and help and resolve this issue. And a lot of this whole communication thing is all about the words that you use, right? So don't say can't. Don't say won't. People don't care what you can't do. Tell them what you can do, right? I told you. I call them red flag words. Red flag words. And it's kind of like being the bullfighter, right? Where you put the red flag out. What does that do? It gets the bull really mad and upset, and he comes charging. Well, guess what? You're doing the same thing to these people when you do that with those words. I told you. Nobody wants to be told anything.
Yeah.
Yes,
right?
but.
Yes, but is another one. Mm-hmm. So just
don't use yes, but.
Policy.
Don't use yes.
Yeah.
Policy is another.
Oh, yeah, policy. Nobody cares what your policy is. Yeah. Policy is an internal thing. Policy is how we manage the business internally. It has nothing to do with our guests and our customers. Nobody cares what your policy is.
So do we write a policy in the company on how to deal with difficult customers?
Absolutely. And it's got, it's real short. It says, do the right thing.
Got it. See,
back to empowering your people.
And you put in these words like, give me a moment, I can help you. And if you're not getting where you want to get, then hey, you're not ready. Yeah. Call me when you are.
Call me when you're ready. I'll be happy to help. You're still helping. I'll be happy to help.
Fabulous. Great takeaways. Did you appreciate that, Trace?
Loved all of it.
Yeah.
I love when Bill and Sarah are on.
Thank you. Sara Fraser, VP, Business Development and Client Services, Haas Performance Consulting, and Dad, Bill Haas, Haas Performance Consulting. As always, thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.